Hi, in this video I'll demonstrate how to create a simple ESOP task inside of Prophecy Workflow version 2.1. The first thing we'll start with is creating a task template inside of our Prophecy client. In version 2.1 of Prophecy Workflow, we've added the ESOP functionality into our application. So the first thing we'll do is we'll go ahead and select Task Templates, and we'll go ahead and add a task template. Then we'll go ahead and give our task template a name, and we will model our task template off of alarm procedures. The purpose of a task template is so that you can have a general process flow for your tasks to follow based on your task itself. What we'll do is we will go ahead and create a binding between the process flow in which all tasks should follow that use this template and a workflow that presents that process flow to us. We'll go ahead and save the task template, and now we have a model for our tasks to follow. That's all you have to do in order to create your task template. Very simple and straightforward. The second thing we're going to do is go ahead and create a task. And we'll create a task so that it uses the process flow from that task template which we've just created. We'll go ahead and we'll add a task, and we'll go ahead and fill out the fields necessary to create a new task. In this task, we'll be creating a style of task geared towards alarm procedures. So we'll create a task for our backwash basin 1, so we'll call it BB1 alarm. And we'll go ahead and populate the appropriate fields with a name and general descriptions. Okay. And if you'd like a more descriptive display name, you can always give the display name a slightly different description than that of the name of the task itself. Then what we're going to do is we're going to tell this task what process it's going to follow when it runs. And because we've designated that alarm procedures template towards alarm procedures in general, we're going to select that and use it so that this backwash basin 1 alarm, turbidity alarm, knows what process flow to follow. Lastly, we'll go ahead and we'll just specify a user that will have the appropriate privileges to operate this task, or you could also set a location. That's entirely up to the end user. We'll go ahead and select save at this point, and we've created our task. The next thing we'll do is we're going to create a variety of steps that will demonstrate how to configure work instructions to present to individuals during this task running. We'll also incorporate linked documents into this task. We'll configure this task to have conditional logic execution by way of what we call jumps inside of ESOP. Later, we'll schedule this task, and then we'll actually run it and see it executed. Two more fields we'll actually go ahead and select here is the priority field before we go ahead and add steps. And we'll add a group for categorization. Okay, So we'll go ahead and call this alarm procedures. And now we'll go ahead and add our steps. So the first set of steps we're going to add, and we're going to add about 9 of them. We'll add, the first set will be geared towards work instructions. So what we'll go ahead and do is we'll add a step and we'll give it a name. First step, confirm plant shutdown maybe. And we'll go ahead and save that first step. Then we'll go ahead and we're going to bring in some work instructions. And we're going to cheat a little bit here, but cheat in a good way. And by that I mean we're going to go ahead and pull in some information from some text documents we have stored in our drive. And this way it saves us from typing. So in here we have some examples, and we're going to reuse some of these examples throughout our demonstration here today. So the first thing we'll do is we'll go ahead and grab the plant shutdown information and guidelines. So we have confirmed plant shutdown, and these are the processes that should be followed for a plant shutdown. What we'll do is we'll just go ahead and copy and paste that into our work instructions. So here we actually have text inside of our work instructions that we have copied from the file. We'll go ahead and save that, and now our step is complete. We'll go ahead now next and add another step. And in this case, this step is going to have a different name. We'll go ahead and give this name. We'll say shut off the high service and raw water pumps. And as part of this process step, we will go ahead and guide the user through what they should do at this point in time. And we'll give them some additional work instructions. So at this point in time, slightly different, we'll go back and of course go back to our file here, and we'll grab a different document and bring information in from it into our work instruction. So here we have our shut off our high service, we'll shut off our high service and raw water pump stock, and we'll just grab this image explaining how they would do that from within their automation system, giving them guidance as to what to do for this procedure. And we'll go ahead and save. So now we've seen how to not just implement text, but also graphics into our work instructions. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to add a third step. The next step is actually going to have a user perform a little bit different style of actions, but similarly having to do with work instructions. Okay, so they'll be asked to check the streaming current meter. In their work instructions for checking the current streaming meter, we're going to do a couple different things this time. We'll bring in text and a graphic, and we'll have them utilize that information in order to perform the necessary tasks. So here we have the current streaming meter document. So we'll go ahead and we'll grab the information from it. And we will paste that into our window. Let's try that one more time. Alright. And then we'll go ahead and we will bring in a graphic so that we have both text and graphic inside of our window. So now we have the text telling the user where to go inside of their automation system, and also what to do once they get there. So we've added both the text and the graphics at this point into the work instruction. We'll go ahead and save it. We'll jump over to linked documents here. And this is a little bit new thing we're going to add, but we're going to add a linked document. This document that we're going to add is going to be for the current streaming meter. So we'll go ahead and just put a label in there for them to understand what they would be selecting. And then we'll go ahead and bring in a file, or we'll link a file to this process step. And the file that we're going to select is actually a picture of the meter itself. And if you would like, you can go ahead and see the image. Okay, so we'll go ahead and save at this point. And you have a preview of your image, so you'll know what you're going to see when you run that step. Next, what we'll do is we're going to add another step, and we're going to continue down giving this process for how you deal with a turbidity alarm a little bit more context. Okay, so I'm just going to add a few more steps in the process, and then we'll talk about what we can do as far as executing and handling conditional logic within these steps. So as you can see, I've added several steps here, and I have only about 2 more to add. But you can see that I've been adding linked documents of different types, being that of PDFs, JPEGs, Word documents. We allow a variety of different types of documents to be included inside of our linked documents. Also, you've seen me not just cut and paste text and graphics into the work instructions, but I've also typed in line and had the ability to format the text inside of work instructions also. And this is the last step we're going to add, and this is just to check one last thing in this process for the flocculation basin, pH. And this will actually end our process operations, or it may spawn another task to be created based on what users will be instructed to do in this example. Maybe they have to generate a work order inside their maintenance package as an example for the maintenance personnel. Okay, so here you see me create several steps in this process, 9 to be exact, and for this BB1 task. At this particular time, the task has been created and it is complete. You can see that it's listed in what we call our task list, and you can see that it's also categorized. The next thing I'll go ahead and do is go ahead and configure some process jumps, or allow for some conditional logic execution. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to select confirm plant shutdown. When this step presents itself to an individual, we want to ask a question to the end user. And quite simply, we're going to say, did the plant shut down in auto mode? We'll say plant shut down in auto mode, and they can just say yes or no. And if they say the plant shut down in auto mode, what that means is they're going to go and check the current streaming meter. If the plant did not shut down in auto mode, they'll have to perform another task. So we'll go ahead and select save, and we'll add another jump, and we'll just specify plant did not shut down in auto mode. And if it did not shut down in auto mode, we're going to have them shut off the high service and low water pumps. What this does is it presents the user the ability to specify what they're encountering while this step is presented to them. And it gives them the ability to provide feedback to the process in a very simplified manner. We'll go ahead and add this for a couple steps just to give you a feel for how this operates. The next thing that we'll do is at the streaming current meter, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and add a jump, and we'll say, is the streaming current meter an alarm? Or is it not an alarm? And if it is not an alarm, what we'll do is we'll have this go to the meter operation. If it is an alarm, what we'll do is we'll go to restart the plant. The next thing we'll do is we'll go ahead and add another conditional statement to the check turbidity meter operation. So when they're at this operation, we're going to present them with the following. We're going to say, is the turbidity meter okay? After inspection. If so, what we'll do is we'll go to the next step, which is to troubleshoot the streaming current meter. If it's not okay, what we'll do is we'll troubleshoot the turbidity meter. And then lastly, we'll go down to the troubleshooting of the current streaming meter, and we'll add a jump to see if the meter, we'll just specify if the meter is okay. And if the meter is okay, we'll go ahead down to check the flocculation basin's pH. And then we'll end out our task. So, this may not appear, it may have been a little confusing as to what we're doing, but in essentially just a few minutes, we have created an ESOP task template. We have created an ESOP task derived from that utilizes that template with 9 steps inside of it, with very specific logic in each of the steps, giving instruction and context through linked documents to the end users as they interact with each step. In addition to that, we've just added the ability to to get or gather feedback from the end user by presenting them questions so that they can answer, and then they select the path in which they're going to follow by their feedback, the process within the jumps. The last thing that we're going to do is we're going to go back to our task itself, and we're going to schedule it to be run. So we'll go ahead and we'll select Add a Schedule, and based on adding a schedule, what we'll do is we will add a schedule, and we'll call the schedule itself just generically turbidity alarm, and we'll make it visible to the Start Task window in our task client, and of course we'll enable the task. We'll enable the schedule. So now when we go to our task client inside of workflow, we can see that we don't have any currently running tasks. If I select Start Task, you'll see that we have one called Turbidity Alarm. That is the schedule which we just created quite simply. If I go ahead and select Start, what we'll see happen is our task started successfully. And what we see appear is not only the task, but all the appropriate steps in the task that we configured. So, here we see in the very first step we had plant shutdown, confirm plant shutdown, and in there is all of the link document information, the work instruction information that we copied and pasted inside here. And when we hit submit, we will be asked, did the plant shut down in auto mode? Yes or no? And if it did not, we'll go ahead and select it did not, and you'll see what happens is it goes to the next step. We'll go ahead and see here that we have a work instruction instructing us what to do. And as we step through the process, we'll see all of the relevant information that we supplied as part of the configuration. Here we see that we have a link document, and we have a link document for the current streaming meter. So just go ahead and select submit. It's going to ask us, is the meter okay? Is it okay or is it not okay? Meaning, is it an alarm or is it not an alarm? If it's an alarm, we're going to hit submit, and you'll see it will jump down to the appropriate part of the process in which to present the end user with the relevant information. So it routed itself based on the user feedback to the proper step. Moving forward, we will continue with the process, and you can see it has all of the relevant information that we need, and we can continue and finally complete the operation. So, in just a few moments, again, just to recap, we've not just created the templates, but we've created an ESOP task. We have configured a fairly simple, with some very, very limited complexity inside of it by means of different types of work instructions, link documents, jumps. We've created a schedule, and then we've tested and run it successfully. So hopefully you can see that with this very new user-friendly interface, creating tasks can be very easy. With that, this ends our demonstration. If you have any questions, please contact the Prophecy Workflow team. Thank you.